Okay, so I'm going to make this a quick one today. I skipped yesterday because, frankly, I was just watching results coming in all day, and I didn't think I really had much to add. I was way too nervous to say anything more than I had already said. I had made my predictions. I feel pretty good about what I said about Michigan, although we didn't know the results for Michigan. But Michigan ended up being, a brighter spot for Trump than Wisconsin. Uh, although not in line with what I was expecting. Wisconsin seems to be counting ballots quicker. Um, although in both Michigan and Wisconsin, I don't really know where to start for today. You are seeing these odd jumps to where, Trump initially, of course, because they were counting election day ballots first, had a big lead over Biden, and then you were having these these dumps of ballots being counted that seemed to be like 100% for Biden, which of course is very suspicious. That never happens in the other direction. But I'm not going to say anything about it now. But I think certainly the Trump campaign is probably going to have a lot to say on that. Trump is already saying he's taken this to the Supreme Court, that he won and that it's being stolen. And I think he's going to make that case in more than just Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania still has Trump up quite a bit, like 12%. I have no doubt that they will narrow that in the count, and potentially he will lose that. And I think that Trump is probably going to sue over Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, probably Nevada, because that's so close, and that the mob slash the unions slash the Harry Reid machine are probably involved in something suspicious there. Arizona, I don't know what's going on there. I still find it very odd that Arizona has such a big gap, Biden ahead by 5 points right now, which is, again, not in line with what I was expecting. I was thinking that Arizona should track a little more closely to where Florida and North Carolina were, which Florida and North Carolina, Trump is winning. Florida, again, I was most confident in how I was feeling about Florida because I'm in Florida. I know how Florida works. It's the only place where I can really make a really good prediction and where I can, kind of read the early vote and stuff like that. Although early in the night, based on the results in Florida, I was not optimistic for Trump nationwide. And so, because if you look at the vote in Florida, Trump was doing about the same everywhere across the state. He was doing about the same to a little bit worse. He underperformed by a few points in Duval County, which is Jacksonville. He just barely lost Pinellas, which is St. Petersburg, which he just barely won in 2016. So it was kind of what line it fell on, one way or the other, whether it flipped to Biden or Trump. Didn't really end up mattering as long as it was still really close. Nobody was netting votes out of there, but it was interesting that he did a little worse in Pinellas. Hillsborough, I think he did slightly better, like maybe 1 point or two. However, the one place in the state where Trump did significantly better was Miami-Dade County. And he also did quite well, relative to last time in Palm Beach, although not absurdly well. He won 45% of the vote or 46, I think now, in Miami-Dade County. It's like less than a 10-point gap now. I think it might be down to 9 points that Trump is behind Biden in Dade County, which is excellent. That is the biggest county in the state of Florida. He's doing almost as good as George W. Bush did in 2004 in that county, when George W. Bush won Florida by 5 points, which is, the biggest margin we've seen in a very, very long time in Florida. You don't see 5-point margins. Obama in 2008 won by like 2.5%, maybe. Trump right now is winning Florida by 3.5%, but that's really all because of Dade County. The rest of the state, he's doing about the same. And so when I saw that, I saw, well, this looks like an anomaly. It's not that Trump has overall has much better support across the state. He's not doing better amongst everyone. He's only doing better, really, in South Florida, which, of course, is your Venezuelans and Cubans and those sorts of people being more energized for Trump. And so that made me nervous because Florida, in that case, was not going to be a good indicator for how Trump is going to do in the rest of the country. He very clearly, to me, was going to overperform in Florida relative to the rest of the country. However, it's concerning that as of right now, even though we don't know final results, he's certainly underperforming in Georgia. It's way too close in Georgia compared to 2016. It's much closer in North Carolina, although not out of the realm of possibility. I think that it's actually kind of in line with Trafalgar's final North Carolina poll, which was like Trump +2. So North Carolina, I do think is going to go for Trump. Georgia, I do think is going to go for Trump, but again, it's way too close, very concerning. Texas was never in play. Okay, Texas, Trump won by 6 points, which again is 3 points less than he won it in 2016, which is concerning. However, there's some interesting results coming out of your more border counties. They're not as blue as I'm used to seeing them. Particularly, the one that people keep pointing out is Starr County, which is the most Hispanic county in America. 96%, identifies Hispanic or Latino. Trump lost by like 60 points there in 2016, and he only lost by 5 points this time. Now, again, that might be an anomaly, like Dade County in Florida. But again, this is a different group of Hispanics. These are not Cubans. These are Mexicans. And what people are kind of witnessing, and what seems to be the trend, and this makes sense to me, is that Mexicans, or Mexican Americans, people who are either first-generation people who moved from Mexico, or people whose parents or grandparents were from Mexico, they're kind of going the way of the Italians. They're becoming, less democratic. They're becoming more successful financially. They're becoming more entrepreneurial. They're becoming less Catholic, more Protestant, and all of these things push them sort of into the Republican column because they are trending culturally towards Republicans. Which, of course, is very good news for the state of Texas, since they're getting an influx of so many, white liberals from the West. In Michigan, Trump and John James still seem to be doing quite well in Wayne County, which is Detroit, relative to 2016 and I think 2018. I don't know exactly how John James did in 2018, but I'm pretty sure he did much worse than he's doing now. But again, we supposedly have all these ballots left to count in Michigan. So who knows? Last I checked, Trump still holds a less than 1% lead over Biden in Michigan. I just don't expect that to hold up. I think that they're going to find a lot of ballots for Biden somewhere, and they're all going to be for Biden 100%, just like we've been seeing these jumps. And this is going to have to go through the courts. So we're not going to know this for quite some time. The 79 days of hell have arrived. We have 79 days from now until the inauguration of the next president, and we don't know who it's going to be. Trump is still up wildly in Pennsylvania, but he had a wild lead in Michigan to begin with, too. And, of course, Trump did, I should point out also, Trump did very, very well in Ohio and Iowa. As I expected, he did as well as 2016. But the funny thing is, your swing states, Iowa, Ohio, Florida, Trump all won them all handily. And it's not making a difference. You would think if somebody told you that a presidential candidate won those 3 states by the margins that Trump has, that person, I would have said, 5 to 10 years ago, that person probably won 49 states like Nixon or Reagan. And that's just not the case anymore. Those are trending to be red states, and we have new swing states. So that's all we know. That's all I'm going to say at this point. If you gain anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, because I do upload every day, and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.